Good evening and welcome to the September 18th, 2025 Select Board meeting. So pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may record or transmit this open meeting. This hybrid meeting is being recorded by the town of Stockbridge. The names of members participating remotely will be announced. Any member of the public wishing to speak first must receive permission from the chair. The agenda items listed are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, but not all may be discussed. And any other topics not listed may be brought up for the discussion by the public body as permitted by law. I'd just like to acknowledge a change in the agenda order, that I'm moving up the vote on ballot question for Proposition 2.5 override for the new high school to be after the minute. So we'll first open with National Grid poll hearing. We'd like to install a new hand pole between 7 and 9 Main Street to accommodate service for 7 Main Street. Is anyone here from National Grid?
Yes. How you doing?
And yourself?
Doing great.
You want to present any additional information?
Yeah, so the main part of this is we need to set a handhole on the side of the road for accommodating the existing service. There's it's an old style junction box in a customer's basement that the company doesn't do anymore. So we need to set, National Grid needs to set a public handhole at the side of the road to accommodate a customer service. So I'm just here for any questions or objections.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by the board?
No.
No, I think it's
Let's do a little.
very good.
Okay, any questions by the public about this whole handhold? Seeing none, any objection, or do I do the motion first?
I make a motion to approve this application as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do I have to, I've already asked the public, right?
Yes.
Okay, so take action on the minutes for September 4th meeting. Do I have a motion to accept them?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. So now we're going to vote on the ballot question for Proposition 2.5 override for the new high school. And Dr. Dillon, who this was superintendent of Berkshire Hills Regional School District, will introduce it. Go ahead.
So as I think you're all aware, the school district intends to have a vote on November 4th about a proposal for a new high school. There are two parts to that vote. The first part is a district-wide vote, and the district issues the warrant for that. The second part is it's actually not an override. It's a 2.5 exemption, and that's done town by town. West Stockbridge voted to do it earlier in the week, and Great Barrington voted to do it just a couple hours ago. The purpose of an exemption is to exempt the cost of a capital project during the duration of the capital project from your levy, or you could explain it better than that, but that's the purpose of it, and it's time limited for the duration of the project. If one does an override, that's in perpetuity. So in asking you to do this, I'm just asking you to put it on the ballot. What's another interesting nuanced thing is in this election, there actually have to be 2 ballots, one for the district-wide vote, and then a separate one in each town's for this exemption.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a debt exclusion from Proposition 2.5, which means it won't count against our levy when we're putting together the budget. So it goes outside the levy limit. They're considered temporary. Of course, in this case, it's 30 years. So, and then it would be removed once the building is paid for.
Mhm.
But I think it's important that everybody understand there's going to be two ballots when you come in to vote on November 4th. So you'll have two separate ballots, one for the school district and one for the Proposition 2.5 exemption. So I think that's really very important. And the language is probably will need to be discussed at a future meeting because it's a very long description of everything that's happening for the new school. And then the Proposition 2.5 one is very short, but it explains.
The most confusing thing about the district ballot language is we're obligated to include the total cost of it, not less the MSBA or the state's contribution. So we anticipate that the amount to the three towns is going to be $89 million, but the total cost of the project is $151 million, and the MSBA is contributing 61. So we have I have a lot of work to do to educate people around that.
Right, and I think that we as selectmen need to do that too for our town. People to make them understand that even though the question is so long and it has the whole total, that our portion will only be part of that, whatever's left, the
Right.
59 million. But the ballot question will take you through the whole thing.
And the time sensitivity around this is in talking to the three town clerks and the various town managers or administrators. We need to get this to the folks that print the ballots, and so that the machines can be coded, so that if people request absentee ballots, that can all happen in a timely.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Seeing none. Do I have a motion to accept?
I make the motion to accept the ballot question for Proposition 2.5 override exemption for the new high school.
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Take action on a one-day entertainment license for the Berkshire Botanical Garden, the Harvest Festival for over 500 capacities on October 11th and 12th. I believe it's a Saturday and a Sunday. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right. The 250th Celebration Committee discussion, possible appointment. And I believe we got one email from Nancy Mills that said she was interested in helping.
And I have received personally some others that have to help. Nancy Mills representing, she's on the Chesterwood Council, but I have received an email from Miguel, who's the director, wanting to help. And I've spoken to Talia at the library so that we're moving forward. But if anybody else is interested, to please let us know.
Any questions from the public? Seeing none. All right, we don't need to take a vote. And then we have the Berkshire County Municipal Officials Networking, the Massachusetts Inspector General Jeffrey S. Shapiro, October 30th at the Greylock Glen in Adams, Massachusetts. Did you want to speak on that?
Yeah, from on a Thursday, October 30th, 5 to 7. The Inspector General will be at the Greylock Glen They put out an invitation through the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and through the Berkshire County Selectmen's Association. And just wanted to let the board know about this. If any of you are interested in going, we can sign up for it. It's for select board members and administrators and managers. So I plan on attending because it's a nice, easy one for me. And I wasn't sure if anybody else was interested. I know I can get it signed, get you signed up.
And I did already sign up.
5 to 7?
5 to 7. Yep.
All right. Did the vote. Consider using a project manager for the fire station feasibility. Request $25,000 from Finance Committee Reserve Account. Michael, could you speak on that, please?
Yeah, so I did do up a little comparison for you guys of, and it's in your packet, the difference between a project manager or doing a feasibility study. So originally, when we set money aside to do a feasibility study. And then if we wanted to pursue beyond that, we would go to a project manager, because any project over 1.5 million has to have a project manager. The committee that's gotten together has discussed this, and they would like us to consider using a project manager from step one. This allows, so that, let me walk you through the pro and cons of what is typically associated with each of them. So you usually have a lower upfront cost and a narrower focus when you just do a feasibility study. The town staff will be directing it. You run the risk of gaps between your feasibility study and the later construction requirements. And then sometimes it's duplication of some events when you get to the hiring a project manager. The positives for having a project manager is that you get professional oversight from day one. Feasibility structured with construction in mind, reduces the burden on town staff. It's a smooth transition from design to construction, but it usually has a higher upfront cost. You do have to go to a project manager on phase 2, no matter what, because this will be over 1.5 million. So the committee had asked if the selectmen would consider. They're an advisory board, so they just asked if you guys would consider going with a project manager. We figure it would cost about another $25,000 to start with a project manager right from day one. So if the select board is okay with that as an option, would like a little more time to think about it or whatever, we can go from there. What it would be is if you decide that you like the idea of going right with a project manager, I would then submit to the finance committee a reserve transfer of $25,000 in order to have $75,000 to start right from day one with a project manager. Lee went the approach of a feasibility study, then a project manager. Lennox and Williamstown both went with project managers right from the start. So there's no right or wrong answer here. They're just asking this board to consider it. Okay. We don't have to make a decision tonight. I wanted to just present it, or if you want to make a decision, that's up to the board.
I mean, I like to keep this project going. I have no issue with the option 2.
I think it's better to have, I'm sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's better to have somebody on board right from the get-go, to understand all the ins and outs, rather than have them come in after the fact.
And that's what we're asking for.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say too.
I'll make
the
a motion that we
smoother
go with
transition.
Go with option 2.
And would you put out an RFP?
Yes, we're required to put out an RFP for that. And either way, we would have been putting out an RFP for feasibility architect and then an OPM, an RFP for that, or you just do one RFP for a project manager.
And then he or she
Yep.
can do all of the work.
Yeah, the firm, yep, would do that. Yep.
Public comment.
Any other question?
No.
Any questions from the public? Tom?
Would there be any other costs beyond the 25,000?
Well, that would just get us the feasibility study and into project and design. There'd be further costs, yes.
Associated with the project?
Yes, if it went to full construction, but that would be a vote when if the town decided to pursue the construction of it.
Any estimates on how much that would be?
We looked, so there was, our slide presentation had a couple of things, and if we go with, there's a couple different thoughts in mind. We're probably looking at a 10 to 12 million if we do stick built. If Wilmington, Mass did a Morton building, which is, if anybody goes down Route 9 by the Brewmaster Pub, that's their fire station and police station, and they were able to do that for 5.3 million. So depending on what direction the overall project goes, it could be either. So that would all be brought up in this first stage, and then before any additional money would be done, it would go back to the town for approval.
Any other? Yes.
Are we talking about the site that's at Four Corners? Or your Four Corners?
Yeah, so right now, I've watched their meetings and gone to one. They've had 3 meetings. They're examining where in the 183, 102 corridor this would need to be located. Yep.
They're not
There's
specific
there's
to that one
specific
site,
spot
though.
right now.
There's several.
There's no,
No,
It hasn't
no
been
spot
decided.
now, just, we're looking at about a mile and a half radius of the 183, 102 where it crosses.
And they would have to come back to us to
Yes,
decide.
you guys, they're just
Location.
an advisory board. Yep.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions.
I don't think, did we have a motion and?
I made a
Nothing.
motion.
You did?
I made a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Preservation, Inc., proposal for Revolutionary War Memorial Design and Oversight. Michael, do you want to?
They're on.
Yep, we have,
Or
Ian
someone
and Bill that are
here?
both online. Guys, I'm gonna
Right.
allow you guys to start your video. Like, put
I'm
yourself
trying
on.
to.
I just did it. You should be able to. So,
We gotta get the second TV
Well,
up.
I've got voice at least.
yes. Ian and Bill from Preservation Incorporated have put in a proposal to do our consultant work. We've been working closely with them on a number of projects over the last couple of years. They've really done an outstanding job for those people in town who have seen the work that's happened at the cemetery, the cleaning of stones, resetting of stones. They're currently overseeing the replacement of the roof on the mausoleum.
Oh,
And one of the thoughts is if we're gonna get this done in time for the 4th of July, and ideally for Memorial Day, we need to get moving. So I did reach out to them and they put in a proposal to do this as this would be for design and engineering for the project. This would be done in conjunction with the working group that I have right now that's trying to come up with all the names of people that served and the tribe and the rest. Everything will come back to the select board for final decisions. But I am recommending at this point is that we bring these guys in to do design oversight and install and for this project. They'll work on the project. Anything plan, whatever designs and Russ they come up with will come to the select board for approval. And I know they have some ideas because we met, we talked about the project. They're both excited to look into this. Ian, Bill, if there's anything else you want to say about it?
Ian, you want to jump in?
I mean, I think sort of you've said it. You said everything you need to say, Mike. I mean, we're excited. We've already spoken to a number of stone carvers manufacturers. I've been on the phone with at this point half a dozen bronze casters. So yeah, we've got suppliers lining up to actually fabricate the project. Should we get chosen to move ahead?
And also, Ian, do you want to say something about your conversations with the Stockbridge tribe? I mean,
That is not. I don't think that's necessary to discuss right now, Bill.
okay.
I'll just can I just interject one thing? Is that in the proposal that's in your packets, it says 2 stones, one for colonialists and one for indigenous people, but it will not be that. They won't be separated. It will be alphabetical once they get all the names that need to be on the stone. It's going to be alphabetical, so they won't be segregated.
We're all in favor of that. What you're talking about was an earlier version of the scope of work, and we certainly agree with combining them in.
Yeah,
one
we
list.
submitted an amended proposal today.
Just today.
Right.
So I have it here.
I just wanted everybody to know, whoever looked at the packets online, that it's been amended.
All right.
Any questions by the board?
No.
I don't.
Any questions?
I just had a question, Lador Sundberg, I just had a question about where this is gonna be located, because I haven't looked at the packet.
Right beside the chime tower, the circular stones, they're going to be repositioned to keep the circular shape and just incorporating 2 more stones into the overall design.
Thank you.
Sally?
Is the sign gonna be run past the historic commission?
We could, the select board can have it run past the historical commission. Yeah.
See if they have CPC money, among other things.
I don't know, wish it was a issue.
Oh, I definitely don't, because I said that at the meeting. I wanted the historic commission to be more involved,
It's an
so.
important historical site down there, and it should be.
So what I'll do is when
But I thought we had-
we get to elements, before bringing it to the select board, I'll schedule with the historical commission to review it first and then bring it to the select board. Yeah. And we're also having everything looked at too by the tribe. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with all our i's dotted and t's crossed.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay,
That's a very important
let's see any other.
thing.
Okay. So,
Should I just disclose that I'm working with Ian and Bill on another project in town? I just want to disclose that I'm working with Ian and Bill on another project in town that's not a town project. It's for St. Paul's Episcopal Church, doing over their roof and all their copper gutters and downspouts and so forth. So I just wanted to disclose that to everybody.
thank you, Georgia. And you need a vote, right?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept the proposal as amended?
I'll second.
You're.
I'll make a proposal. You make a proposal.
I can, yeah. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right, state projects update. We have the kayak launch and improvements at the boat ramp and Route 183 municipal pavement program update. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on 2 projects that are happening that are state projects that the town pursued over the last couple of years. One of them was the kayak launch at the boat ramp. 2 years ago, this went to town meeting, $25,000 was set aside for design. The state has come back and working with us on the development of that plan. I do want to point out that one thing that has happened, probably initially envisioned what there was going to be a path down to the water and then out onto the kayak launch. Due to the steepness of it, as the state is required to, by the access control board, they have to meet ADA compliant. It required them to add in a switchback. As you see in the blue, instead of just a straight path, that switchback would make it handicap accessible. And that is a cement walkway that would go down from the parking area to the kayak launch. So it went before the Conservation Committee. There was a lot of questions, especially with now the thought of a switchback being required. And the state has listened to a bunch of concerns, and they're going to be returning on October 28th to the Conservation Committee. And I just wanted the select board to know that based on what we were originally thinking and what was originally asked of the state, the complicating thing that's come in is the ADA requirements, which has necessitated the need of the state to design in that switchback, as you can see in the plans. So I wasn't sure if the select board had any comments or anything else on this.
Oh, I
as
mean,
far as
I think it really should be handicap, it has to be handicap accessible.
Right.
I believe the other work that's being done and the upgrades of the facility, I think it's a good project. Me personally think it's a good project to move forward on.
And I think,
But
yeah, we want to have people with special needs or who are elderly to be able to get to the lake.
So I have a question
Go ahead.
after.
Go ahead.
So this floating dock?
Yep.
Will that be removed in the winter? Or will that be,
It'll be pulled out and put up on the land. Yep.
and will we be doing that?
Yes.
Our highway department?
Just like it's the same ramp that was originally put in on the river, which is now going to be put in.
Will they have instructions on how to pull it out and put it up on the?
We'll make sure. Yes.
yeah, don't float away like it is in the river.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the state did say that the issue with the river always was that the dock itself is not designed for radical changes in water depth, and the river had too much.
And then
So it didn't
wiped out by the floating
Right.
logs.
The lake does not have drastic water changes, which should allow the kayak launch to work perfectly. But like I said, I don't think any of us envisioned this large switchback when 2 years ago it went through the select board and to town meeting.
And so they've been before conservation,
They went before
And
conservation.
but they're coming back?
October 20.
And we hear what conservation had to say?
We had a lot of questions about this, one, because we were really surprised by the scope of it. It's huge.
Yeah.
And the thing that we were most concerned about is the runoff from the parking lot. Because as it stands right now, the water comes from the highway from 183 and comes rushing in a big storm, comes rushing down the entire driveway and goes right into the lake. I've seen plumes that go out 40 feet of just sand and silt and stuff. And the other thing that we were very concerned about is the amount of erosion that's on the bank. If you're standing looking at the lake on the left, there are some old wonderful trees that the roots are exposed by, foot or more, and are gonna die if something isn't done to try and protect them. So we have a lot of questions that they're gonna come back to us. There was a suggestion that it might be possible to make that the switchback be more than just one turn. And that might make it narrower, which would be less impactful for the entire area. But the thing that I think people need to understand is what they call the no fun signs that are posted at the lakefront, which are the brown signs that say there's no swimming, there's no dogs, and there's no picnicking at the boat ramp. The boat ramp is specified to be a boat launching station, and that's it. And I think that.
And fishing.
And fishing, and residents are going to be surprised and probably not very happy about these changes being.
Well, it's really not a change. It's just enforcing
Well, right.
what should have been enforced in the past.
They're gonna see it as a change.
Yeah, well,
So, the more that this can be made public, so that people aren't really surprised when they're told that they can't be there with their picnic or their dogs or their swimming. I think it'll be a much easier transition.
And a lot of the design going into it is around erosion control. They are proposing retention ponds, the rest. I know afterwards it was brought up about the trees that the conservation, and they are going to identify areas where we can just plant and don't have to go back to them to ask. So there's a bunch of things that'll be coming back on the 28th, and just wanted the select board to be aware of the scope of this project now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, Leonore?
Is it from where the boat launch is now? That is, I was picturing it at the other piece, but I guess it's not. It must be from the.
Right, the blue is was the proposed switchback unless they go to something smaller, and then the orange is where the kayak launch will go out on the lake.
But it's coming off of Route 183, that's.
Yeah,
that's boat ramp.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, it's boat ramp. And so those kayaks, do they have to go through the walking station?
Yes.
Is the construction of the ramp and the switchback, is that all state funded?
Yes, this is 100, other than the 25,000 we put in toward design, the rest of this cost, which is going to be 300,000+, is all being picked up by the state.
They own it.
We just maintain it.
So the other project,
Route 183.
it's 183. So we apply, it's really not an application. You just let Mass DOT know that you're interested in it. It's under the Grant Central program, which we did. It's called the Municipal Payment Program, and what it does is it seeks to improve the condition of municipally owned state route numbers. So we asked the state to look at all of 183, and the state came back. And over this summer, I've had a couple meetings with them, just preliminary about this. And then with our new superintendent, we met with them. The state has us in the program to resurface from the Southern Lake Drive to the Lennox line. It's over 2.5 miles of road being fixed. And this would most likely happen the construction season of 2026. This is, once again, a program where the state will pick up 100% of the cost. So there's no cost to the town of Stockbridge for this. One thing that I will be looking at with our highway superintendent is if there's any smaller culverts or anything else that we should do now before they blacktop. And the only concern area in this entire thing, and you guys have the information, is the box culvert at Shadow Brook. So we are right now we're waiting for the grant to open up for a municipal culvert grant program and try to get the Shadow Brook culvert in there so we can get that done prior to the repaving of 183. We have pointed out that 183 is a very key corridor, and this work would either have to happen prior to Memorial Day and Tanglewood kicking off its festivities, or after the Josh Billings. So, and the state said they would absolutely work with us on avoiding putting it outside of that period. So that's the project. I'm going to have more on this as the details become clearer, but we're in the initial stages. So 2.5 miles of road, you're talking, redoing a road is anywhere from $500,000 to full depth reclamation is $1 million a mile. Once again, a sizable project that the state will be picking up the cost here in Stockbridge for. If there's any other questions?
Becky, Georgia?
No.
Leonore?
Given the DeSisto school project, does it really make sense to repave that road and have it totally torn up in the process of all heavy trucks going into that property to do the work that is planned?
I mean, redoing the road will be built for the next 50 years and with expected traffic on it of trucks and all the rest. You slide into this program, you get an opportunity to do it. We either pull the trigger or we're not going to have it. So at this point, yes, we don't know what's going to happen. They have the permit. We don't know when, if, how long before it's constructed. So I think when we have, my recommendation would be is that we just continue on because there's too many unknowns on the other side.
Sally?
How big is the culvert for Shadow Brook?
Right.
Yeah, that culvert was much shot years ago. And what they had to do was just put a steel plate over it and paving it, or a temporary fix, but that was a long time ago. So it's been just sitting there.
It's an open bottom box culvert.
I was gonna ask if it
Yeah.
has to be a stream crossing. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're looking at this. The evaluation I have here is from, we did a culvert assessment with the HVA, where they went through and checked all of our culverts throughout the town and identified them. This was a key one. So right now we're going to try to get this one in the culvert program. If we don't, what they would do is do a cut before and after this, pave, and then hopefully we would do Shadowbrook afterwards. If we can get it all lined up, we're going to do our best to do that.
And wasn't this the same project that sort of got pushed down the road a bit? Wasn't it supposed to happen a few seasons ago?
No, this one.
Something's new.
This one
Okay.
was this. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if there's any other.
No.
Nope.
Okay. All right, moving along. We have, the discussion of government process. There's been some confusion and some misinformation. So we thought we might try to clear up a little bit as best we could. We may or not be able to. We're going to take a part of it so that it wouldn't seem like one person was being responsible for speaking about it. So I'm going to speak on, we have the opening statement that we read. And other towns such as Great Barrington reads one, it's almost identical. Ours, the only difference is recorded by the town of Stockbridge. So at the August 21st, 2025 Select Board meeting, I read an opening statement that apparently had been misconstrued as limiting public comment. To be clear, that was not the case. The language is a corrective measure adopted townwide to ensure compliance with the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. Earlier this summer, a board received an open meeting law complaint, noting that it had not properly announced that a meeting was being recorded. In response to the Attorney General's office, the town administrator issued guidance with a model script for the boards, all boards to use. The Select Board began using this script on August 12th, and I read it again on August 21st. The purpose of this script is simply to ensure legal compliance and consistency. It does not restrict or eliminate public comment, which remains at the discretion of each and every board in our town. Thank you. Done.
There's been a few accusations that the town has been withholding some meetings going to the CTSB. So we provide CTSB with the recordings. We do it for transparency, so people can see the meetings and watch what's going on. We are not required to do this, but we do it for the public and so people can see what's going on. It cost us money to send these to CTSB. So there are a few meetings that haven't been put on, but there are so circumstances, if this would happen, if a meeting immediately goes into executive session, we don't send it in because there's nothing to report and it's just wasting their money. If they open the meeting and there's no quorum, they open it, they close it, there's no reason to send it to the cable company. If it's a non-site inspection or the conservation stuff, we don't have the capability of filming those. And there are times where there's technical issues and things do happen where things get messed up and that they just can't be recorded. So we do provide them all. We're in great support of doing that. It is a public service to the people of this town, so they can really see what's going on with the meetings and throughout the town and see it firsthand and not get secondhand opinions and stuff like that where they can make their own decisions on the actual meeting itself.
Thank you, Chuck. Georgia?
I don't have anything on that because I wasn't a member of the select board during those times, so
Okay,
I have no comment on that. On the next part I do, but not this one.
okay.
I mean, it's logical what you've just read, that you don't send them if there's no quorum or if there's a technical issue. And if you go into executive session, it's just costing us money to send it to CTSB for,
Yeah, 20-second thing on their channel.
Lenore has a question, and this gentleman.
I was just wondering if there, when, on these occasions when there's really no reason to send it to CPSB, if there's any indication with them that this is the reason why it's not available. So it doesn't just look like, oh, it was never there. What happened? If there's some kind of acknowledgement that there's no recording here because we went into executive session immediately, or nothing happened, or whatever,
Can we put
So
it,
there's not a hole,
can
basically.
we put it on the town website if the meeting's canceled or if it's not gonna be?
Well, sometimes you have to go back. I know there was a question before asked of somebody about a conservation committee in the winter and that had been canceled due to a snowstorm. For them to put up placard cards or anything else, the one thing we asked was that they just put up the meetings when we send over the recordings instead of just putting up the calendar, because that way, if there was a cancellation. I mean, if the board wants me to look into what to do if we do have that, because I know we had a few meetings in the Camp Housabad that didn't have quorum. And then we had a couple of meetings of the Board of Assessors where they immediately went to executive session to consider abatements and exemptions. So
Well, can we-
I can look into it, see if that's something that can be
I mean,
done.
this is on our website, is because you have the calendar.
I think people are going to CTSB, so I don't know if they're going to go to CTSB and then back to our website. I think I could reach out to Rich at CTSB.
And then they might charge us.
They might, I'll find out.
Okay. That would be,
But we do put on the agendas if there's an executive session. We don't just do it.
Right,
Right.
I think somebody else.
Leonore?
But my other question was, I was gonna say, about the timeliness of the posting on CTSB. I think that's been a question that's been raised before, and I realize you have more things to do than put that on CTSB. I don't know what the technical aspect is.
So I know that even recently, there was a question about the September 4th Selectmen's meeting. I had sent that one along with the Park and Rec on the 8th, the Forest and Agriculture on the 8th, and the Planning Board on the 2nd. And 3 of them got up, the other one didn't. I don't know why. Those were 7 days ago. They did contact us today and say they didn't get it. I had sent the link. So I'm not sure why that didn't happen. And then because tomorrow I'm in a training class with MEMA, I actually did this week's ones So usually I do them on Fridays because that's usually my catch-up day where I get them to them. One thing I try to do is I try to start with the furthest one back that hasn't been sent, because I did realize before I was sending the most recent one and going the other way, and then they were putting them up in the reverse order. So I've tried to correct that. And so I do try to get them, usually every Friday, I try to get the most recent ones over to CTSB. Then they have a staff member outside of it that does the title cards and the rest, and then they get up.
Thank you.
Mhm. Anita?
Thank you. I was just curious because the statement that you have cites Massachusetts General Law, Section 20F, but the second part of your statement is not part of Section F. It's where you start about any member of the public wishing to speak must first receive permission from the chair, and so on. The agenda item listed are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, but not all may be discussed, and other topics not listed may be brought up for discussion by the public body as permitted by law. This is not part of Section F. It's kind of a distortion of Section G, and I wondered why you included that.
What is your question?
Why you included the part about that starts with any member of the public wishing to speak must first receive permission from the chair. That is not in Section F of the open meeting law. It is in rewording of Section G.
If I can.
Go ahead.
So when we received the open meeting law complaint, it was specifically around not notifying that the town had done this. There's an individual called Open Meeting Law Enforcer from Atlanta who watches various towns, I don't know why, and puts in complaints if you don't do this. So it was against an assessor's meeting. It's an open public record. The Board of Assessors asked me to address it. I looked at what other towns do, and then I did up a draft one, talked to town council about it, and its recommended language. And town council thought that overall the recommended language with a couple tweaks was done. I'll put Leslie on the spot here because I know she covers a bunch of towns. I think that language is pretty much, I mean, I heard the same language in West Stockbridge. I've heard it in Lee. I've heard it in Great Barrington.
You don't pay.
If you don't want to, Leslie, but you can go right on their websites and look at their agenda. It's almost exactly the same language. Most towns have incorporated because it's been recommended to be incorporated by legal counsel because it addresses all the aspects that we should be addressing, including who's recording, who's not recording, that the chair recognizes people to speak because of recent judgments that have been made at the Mass Supreme Court around public comment and the rest. So it just reinforces how it should be handled. It's recommended language that was issued by myself, reviewed by town council to the boards. They can use it. They don't have to use it. It's up to them, but it is as inclusive of language to ensure that it has zero to do with public comment. It's just how the meeting's going to be run, that if you're supposed to announce, if you're not going to get through all the agenda items, but now we announce it that we may not get through due to various reasons. And then also if something came up within the last 48 hours that the board had to address that meets the emergency definition, that's recognized that something may come forward that wasn't anticipated. Like I said, please go on to the other towns, Great Barrington, West Stockbridge, who had Bennett meetings, and they read almost identical language at the beginning of their meetings.
And also there was a problem with hybrid meetings because if people Zoom, members of the board were on Zoom, they weren't introducing themselves, and it was confusing when we had to do roll call voting, why these couple of people on the screen were talking, but not other people on the screen. So that's why the sentence hybrid meetings is being recorded, but also the names of members participating remotely will be announced. And yes, always we have to be acknowledged to speak by the chair. That's just good meeting, procedure.
Right. My statement is that the second part is not part of Section 20F, starting with any member of the public wishing to speak.
So
it seems to just, all right, so it's one of the other sections. Okay. I think it's a minor issue. Overall, it was just issued as a recommendation of compliance language for the boards.
It should be properly identified.
Legal counsel has no issue with it, and it's the same language being used in multiple towns, almost verbatim.
Well, okay,
Thank you for your question.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you. So moving on to our last agenda item. Board review discussion and public comment. What is the current public comment procedure and what are the options for public comments? So there's been a lot of confusion about public comment and public comment is not a discussion. It is not a question and answer period. Generally, most, and some towns call it citizen speak. Some towns have other names for it, but in the past, we have had it. It's usually a limited time period where people can come up and speak on something. They have to say their name and address. And we have always, I can't remember a time when we haven't allow the public to weigh in on agenda items, posted agenda items, or questions, comments, or concerns or ideas. Chucky or Georgia, do you want to chime in?
No, I mean, I think you hit, a lot of the other towns in the past, not too far past, wouldn't allow people to speak at agenda items. We always have. And I think that's a very important part of having the townspeople be part of the decisions before we make a vote. So that part is not an issue. I don't see an issue in public comment. Maybe I would like to see if you do it, go with 2 minutes, start off with a 10-minute time limit for that section. If it's more people want to speak, we can, it's not set in stone. And I would go with 3 minutes for the agenda items, and the same thing, if it's a, hot topic agenda item, we can allow more time for a person to speak. That's what I would recommend.
Georgia, do you want to say?
I totally agree. I think public comment is very, very important so that we can hear what everybody has on their mind. I just want to make sure that everybody understands under public comment or citizen speak, whatever, is that we cannot answer any questions. We can hear what you say. We can think about it for a future meeting, but we can't have an open dialogue on that part of it. But we can, on a special permit or something on the agenda, we can have talk back and forth, which I think is very important on both aspects.
Mhm. Yeah, I think people have thought that we are supposed to answer their questions or answer their comments or justify a situation, but we can't. If it's public speak or citizen speak, whatever we name it, it is not a discussion. And if we have it, of course, a citizen can speak on whatever topic. But I think I would, if we were to implement it on a regular basis, I would want a time limit of not just each citizen, how long, but also the time period on the agenda.
10 minutes.
Unless, it was something we said we could go a little longer, depending on what's on the agenda.
Yeah, and I think that if somebody brings something forward under public comment or whatever you want to call it, if we have it at the beginning of the meeting, that we'll all take that to heart and listen to them and write it down, and we could discuss it at a future meeting and put it on the agenda. But like I said, we can't have dialogue on that.
Any other from the board?
No.
No.
Good.
I'm fine with the limits.
Good, thank you. I have just a question on procedure. So if something is on the agenda then people can ask questions, there is back and forth.
They have
Always
always.
have been.
Mhm.
Then
Always.
it actually helps us make decisions. And that's why I don't want to keep, I want to keep that because that's been there forever. There was one selectman in the past, one meeting who didn't allow it. And it was a really hot meeting. And I even yelled because I think it's, he said after the meeting they can talk, but that's after we voted on this thing. We get very important information from the public and decisions. And there's been times where I kind of know how I wanted to vote, but somebody brought up something that I never thought of. And it did change how I felt. We either voted on it or we continued it. So it really does public input, agenda items. It's very important.
And then the public comment part is just what people.
We got to sit here and
want to say.
listen and
Right.
can't say
It's
a
sort of
word.
your opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, right, which is important. But I also would like to add to that, that if anybody wants to speak, they need to come up to
Yeah.
the podium
Well, and it's
And then
name
they-
and address.
and
Name and
have
address.
our name and address so that we can
Because that's how it's.
get in touch with you if we have a question after one-on-one or something.
And,
Yes.
and does that include people remotely? Yeah, I mean.
Of
Have to get the name and address,
We'll
yeah.
allow that.
Yeah.
And also you said you can't reply. or-
We legally cannot reply,
We
yes.
cannot
That's law.
reply.
We legally cannot reply. It's got to be on the agenda for us to have an open dialogue.
And we have always done agenda items. Yes, Sally?
When Georgia and I were having our forum with the League of Women's Voters, I thought they had a really interesting procedure for it. They had somebody with a little paddle that let you know when you hit the 2-minute mark. And then you had 3 minutes only to speak. And I thought it was very useful because you got to your 2 minutes, and if you hadn't made the point that you really wanted to make, that you were there to make, but you were rambling on, you got the paddle saying you've got your 1 minute to wrap up. I thought it was a very
I mean,
efficient.
if you have 30 seconds left on that, we're not going to hold you.
Yeah, no, but
No, we'll let
it was
ride.
really useful, I thought, to us.
Yes, it was.
To be able to know that we're coming down to where we really had to make the point that we wanted to make. I just thought it was a great technique.
Laura Dubester?
This is just a minor question, which is that I know at town meetings, we have to say our names, but not our addresses, because I think some people are uncomfortable providing their home address. And I didn't know if there's a different rule or regulation for speaking at the podium, but I would just like to have that clarified.
I think at town meeting, you're there because you're a town resident. And if you're not a town resident, you're sitting in a different section and you do have to give your address. There are people that have asked from different towns to speak at the podium. So it is helpful to know that they're not from our town.
Okay, but could I just say I'm a resident of Stockbridge?
You could do that.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out.
Or you're
Wait a
just.
minute, wait a minute.
What?
Mike was.
So you were correct at town meeting, you've been checked in and recognized as a town resident. In the case of usually at citizen speak or the rest, yes, if you would give your address so that we know where, because anybody can just step up and say, I'm a resident, and people don't
good
know who
point,
it is.
good point.
The other decision the board has to make, are you just going to allow residents or homeowners? So you should clarify that. I know in some of the other towns, it's specifically only residents.
Well, I would want everybody to be
I
able.
think everyone,
That would include homeowners. They're
if you
part
have
of the town.
if you live here, have a home here.
Or even if it was a
Rent an
merchant
apartment.
or a merchant or something like that. I think everybody should be able to make a comment.
If you make it
And
that open,
renters.
you might just allow whoever wants to speak to come up and then not have to ask for name, address, or anything else.
Well,
You can set your own policy on this.
Right, but if we needed to follow up afterwards, if one of us wanted to
Okay.
follow up, it would be nice to know
How
who
to
that
find
person
them.
was.
if you're renting, you have an address.
Right.
the business owner.
Right.
The address of the business.
But we shouldn't just include homeowners. Renters should be able to.
Mhm.
But having a home address doesn't really help because we don't get any mail. And I don't know how I guess you know how to contact people by address. Never mind.
Anita?
Thank you. Strangely, my computer froze as Chucky was speaking before. So forgive me if I'm repeating something that was said. Free speech is at the heart of our democracy, whether you like or dislike what's being said. And especially at this time in our country, we should ensure the right of the people to address our representatives to speak about issues of concern or importance. I understand, and it can be clarified, that public comment is only on issues that are not an agenda item, and that there will not be a discussion, but it's an opportunity to make a statement, to get it out there, and possibly have it on a future agenda or to get some feedback.
I believe that's what Chucky did say when your computer froze. Anita, that's what he did say.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
I'm not good luck with anything that's electronic, so it's probably me.
But previously you had said an email would do, but emails are not efficient or effective. So I appreciate the fact that you're going to put public comment back on the agenda. Well, I hope you are. Thank you.
And just for additional information, we do read our emails and Michael reads his emails. We do listen to you. We try to respond to everyone as fast as we can, but there can be a lot sometimes.
Yes.
Good.
Anything else?
Do we have to have a vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to decide what we want.
So I'll make a motion for public comment. We do 2 minutes with a 10-minute time limit. That can be adjusted as needed. For agenda items, a 3-minute time limit. That could be adjusted as needed.
That's a change. Okay.
Yeah, then
3-minute for agenda. Georgia, what do you think?
I agree with that.
Can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
I've made the motion.
Yeah, Chucky made the
Okay.
motion. I second it. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. A motion to adjourn?
Our next meeting is October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Is that our next meeting?
Yes, 6:30 PM. Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for
Thank you
coming
for
and for your
coming.
input.
Nice to